This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast. I'm Jordan James, also known as the Autistic Photographer, and I'm joined by my co-host and very best friend, Simon Scott.
Hello! And for this episode of the Neurodivergent Experience, we are talking about living with demand avoidance.
It's been a week in podcasting world. But in reality, we've had to actually do 2 on a trot because, again, I'm going away next week.
Mr. Worldwide.
Which is now currently this week. I get my brain hurts. But essentially, I'm going down to Cornwall with my wife, Sylvia, and we're seeing my beautiful daughter, Sophie. We're going to go down to Cornwall. I'm going to do some photography, which is what I do. But it's going to be great because I haven't seen her for ages. And I miss my little baby girl. Not a lot has happened in the last few moments, but what has happened is that we have now finally sealed the deal and sorted out all the details of the audio book version of mine and my co-author's book, which is The Autistic Experience, which inspired this podcast as being the Neurodivergent Experience. Yeah. And it's 85 different people from all over the world, all parts of the spectrum as it was, diagnosed, undiagnosed, all different ages, all different sexes. And it's an incredible piece of literature that I highly recommend to anyone. But there's a lot of people that really struggle to read. I am actually one of them. I've only read my own book once, and I really wanted an audio version, and we managed to get the audio rights back from the publisher. So thank you to them for that. And Marie Loch, who is my co-author, and I, and Simon, because you're a legend, and my daughter Sophie, legend as well. We're all going to record and read the audio book version for you, our beautiful, wonderful, and possibly gorgeous listeners.
Yes.
So look out for that. I cannot give you a date because we've only
just sorted it.
We've only just begun.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can sing as well. I'm just so flipping talented.
Crikey.
Yeah, I know. Crikey, I agree. It is amazing. Crikey, if you're Australian, anyway. What has happened to you in the last 20 minutes? Apart from apparently you needed a tinkle. That's the message I got.
I had a little tinkle. Yeah. So
okay.
It's a week for you guys, about 25 minutes for us. So one of the reasons as to why I want to talk about living with demand avoidance is I'm having to convince myself to do another episode on a day when we don't normally do one. And that is just one of the many little battles that I face with living with demand avoidance. Do we know what causes it, Jordan? Because I don't.
Okay, so pathological demand avoidance, also known as PDA, is a diagnosis of a mental health condition that is not recognised by most authorities. It is not currently recognised by the NHS. It is not recognised by schools and other
Wonderful.
workplaces and things like that. Oh yeah, it's an absolute crap show.
At least they're consistent.
Yeah, at least they're consistent at being really,
Rubbish.
really terrible at recognising our difficulties. So I put demand avoidance in the category of disability and ability. I see it throughout autistic history. I see it throughout my own history. You know, because we have this thing when we're autistic, we love to go against the grain. We do not like going, I mean, some of us do. When I say we, I mean the people
us
I know.
Too. Yeah, us.
Yeah, us too, especially. We don't like doing things the way other people do them. We want to come up with our own way of doing things. We want to do things our way, which is great to make change. It's great to battle the system.
Move the species on.
Yeah, to sort of, yeah, I mean, you don't make change by doing the same thing over and over again. That's the point of it being called change. You have to grow and you have to change and you have to adapt. And I believe that, despite the fact that most neurodivergent people really do struggle with change, I think we're great at adapting to that change. That's how we survive. That's literally what Darwin said. The strongest of the species will survive because they are able to adapt. That's what NDs, I think we have to adapt because we are in a world that we designed, but unfortunately we didn't design it for us because we are a minority.
We're constantly looking to improve things and make things better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's it. I mean, a lot of it is driven by our need to make the world better for us,
make it work,
even as individuals.
Yeah.
But, scientific discoveries, innovations, art, music, it's all been affected and progressed because of, in my opinion, this need to avoid the conventional way of doing things. That's a superpower as far as I'm concerned. That's an ability. Where it becomes a severe disability is on a day-to-day basis. We will end up just, for me personally, it's almost like anybody that says anything to me, my brain will automatically go, no, I don't want to do that. Like an angry, annoyed, very, very tired teenager when parent says, oh, you need to tidy your room. Then like, I don't want to do that. And people can be suggesting things that are really helpful, like super helpful, like medical things that are helpful.
Yeah, totally.
And just to put it out there, with demand avoidance, like a current thing, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and now obviously it's been only a couple of weeks since I got it, is I have serious trouble with sleeping, went to the NHS, they said, okay, this is an app that we recommend, can you try this before we move on to anything else? Guess how many times I have attempted to even open the app, let alone use it?
Ooh, twice.
0.
Ooh, I was being ambitious there,
you were being kind to me. Dude, I bought a front and rear camera, dash cam for my car. Spent a decent amount of money on it because I wanted to get a really good one because most people are terrible drivers. I haven't put it in yet.
Yeah,
I just need to go outside and just put it in my car. But there's something that it's almost like it physically stops me from doing it, and it's so annoying. And I believe that some of it's anxiety driven. Some of it is just me being a big man-child. The fact that I want to do more fun things, and that doesn't seem like a fun thing.
Yeah, totally.
But even when it comes to fun things, and I know that like there's a lot of parents out there that will probably appreciate this, that you'll say to your kid, oh, do you want to go and do this incredibly fun thing, like, swimming or, a fun fair or something like that. And they go, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then you kind of, end up, if you're me, you end up making them go anyway. And say, well, I'm the adult and you're the child. And you're going to get in the car now. And, again, not always the best parent, but it worked because when they got there, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And demand avoidance has been a huge burden as a parent. Because my kids have got it, it's been a huge annoyance for Sylvia and I, because we will make lovely suggestions that are really helpful to each other, and then we just won't do them because of this demand avoidance, where we're just like, I'm not doing that. It has affected my work. It has affected my home life. It has affected friendships. It has affected every aspect of my life, is this inability to just listen to others and just go, yeah, actually, I really think that's a great idea.
You add to that, I find it really hard even listening to myself. You know, it's like I'm very very good at giving advice. I sometimes feel a lot wiser than I am for my years. Crikey, I'm crap at taking my own advice. And do you know what? If I did, I would have a lot more enjoyment out of things in my life. But for me, demand avoidance stops me from doing so many things I enjoy doing, because the procrastination demon in my head makes so many excuses as to why I can't do the thing I love doing. Golf for me regulates me. It chills me out. It balances me. I love to do it. It's a half an hour drive to the nearest driving range for me. But my brain goes, traffic. Got to think about the correct time of day to go. It's going to take you an hour to get there, an hour to get. And I create excuses as to why I can't go. And my body just goes, no, it's fine. We're not doing it. It's like a reverse magnet effect. I literally feel myself being pushed away from the thing I like to do. It's like, it takes me half an hour to walk to the gym. So my brain just goes, you don't want to do that. You don't want to walk to the gym. And so we're not going to go to the gym. And it's really disabling when I really want to go and play golf, really, really want to go and play golf. And there are almost 10 things in my mind that are stopping me from doing it. And that overwhelms me. And then that just this feedback loop from hell. It's like, I want to do the thing to make me feel better, but my brain won't let me do the thing. And I just get stuck in this really horrible paralysis by analysis state where I'm just getting a spin of going, I desperately want to do this, but I can't. And it even applies to eating as well. There are times when I know I'm really hungry, man. And I'll put my hand on my belly and I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. But the thought of putting food in my mouth feels almost like I've never done it before. It's alien. It's like I've forgotten how to do it. And it just, honestly, it's really disabling, and at times can be quite frightening as to why I don't want to do this thing, especially when it comes to work. It's like if I have a disagreement with somebody at work, it's not my brain goes, oh, that was disappointing, we didn't like that. It goes, we don't like them, we're not doing that anymore, screw them. And that's not helpful when I need to do the job. And it can be really hard and really painful pushing through that barrier, because it just burns my energy so much, forcing myself to do something that my brain's going, you don't want to do this, they don't want you to do it, you're only going to mess it up, you're only going to, and it's like, oh my gosh, all this anxiety just builds up from just trying to do anything.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I like I say, it affects every aspect of my life. And even things that I want to do, like, you know, I buy a new video game, and I go, oh yeah, no, I really, really want to play that. But it's like this barrier. There's like a wall that I have to climb over, with jagged rocks and sharp bits of glass sticking out of it in my mind, just to download it, you know, just to press play, just press play on it, Jordan, just do it. And it upsets me so much, because I get annoyed at myself, because I'm like, well, I really want to watch that show, or I really want to watch that movie, or I really want to do that thing. But then there's this huge hurdle in my own mind that I have to combat. And it's so disabling at times. And it makes me so tired just trying to do something that I actually want to do. And people will say, oh yeah, that's anxiety, it's procrastination, but it is more than that. Like I said, there's a pathological part of my brain. It just won't let me do the things that I want to do without having to fight it. So there's a constant battle. Oh, God. I tell you what, I love being neurodivergent. I wouldn't change it for the world, but oh my God, there are so many parts of it, you know, the anxiety, the depression, the eidetic memory, the mind avoidance, the physical disabilities, the mental disabilities. There's so much part of it that it's just a constant fight. And then you get people that either refuse to believe it's real, refuse to understand it, refuse to educate themselves on it, tell you you're wrong and they know more than you do, even though that they know about as much as a squashed ant. And it makes our world so much more difficult if people just don't listen to us.
Do you know what? This is one of the things that I'm finding the most difficult with my demand avoidance, and it ties into the people not listening to you. It's hard enough me going to the pharmacy to pick my medication up as it is, let alone without the promise of it being there. And the amount of like meltdown inducing moments I'm having when I'm having to fight my demand avoidance, and then either my expectation isn't met or, you know, the issues to why I went out there isn't resolved. It's like I'm now getting demand avoidance about going and chasing my medication because my brain's going, what's the bloody point? And that's really hard to get through because I need my medication to stop feeling like this. So I'm not going out and chasing pharmacies because I'm feeling demand avoidance. And then because I'm doing that, I'm not getting my medication. But every time I have done it, I haven't been able to get hold of it. And my brain is literally screaming at me going, what's the effing point? And it's trying to convince yourself that there is a point and you have to do it. And trying to explain that to somebody, if it's not you, Jordan, or, you know, it's not somebody that understands me or knows me, the amount of people that look at me and go, come on, get over yourself or get a grip. It's like I cannot explain to you the physical uncomfort I go through when I so desperately want to do something. It's like if I have 3 hours in an evening and I go, I can watch a film, and I distract myself for an hour and a half so I can no longer watch that film, the anger that I feel with myself, it's toxic. And it all comes from just not being able to just press freaking play on a remote. And literally talking about it now is making me feel frustrated because I know what that feeling feels like. And obviously having an eidetic memory, when I think about it, I feel it. So there is an awful lot going on at any given time. And when you're asking for help and people go, there's people that obviously have it worse than you, and are you really that autistic? It reaffirms the procrastination demon. It reaffirms that you have to bribe it to get what you want because people don't believe you. And then you just feel like the boy who cries wolf and you go, well, what's the point anyway? And then the demand avoidance has won. That's the battle, man. It's so hard.
I'm going to give you a couple of examples of two friends that I have, not naming them, two friends I have that, and I don't like using the word suffer when it comes to neurodivergent.
We try and be positive, guys.
I definitely suffer at the hands of idiots who annoy me.
Yeah, I have idiot rage, not road rage.
Yeah. But I believe that they are suffering from demand avoidance because they are suffering physically because of their own demand avoidance. And one of my friends, he's had an issue with it with his knee for years now. And I remember when it first happened, it was really bad because, you know, he was doing really well with his fitness and he was out walking every day. And yeah, so it was really great for his mental health. He was losing weight, you know, so he was, a lot healthier as well, you know, because he was, a much better fitness. And then he got this injury and it all went to crap for him, basically. It all went downhill. And it was such a shame watching it. And he won't go to the doctor. This has been years. He won't go to the doctor. And every time we meet up, I love the gentle giant. I really do. And I'm like, have you been to the doctor? His doctor surgery is at the end of his road.
Oh.
And he just, his brain it's not laziness, it's not procrastination because of anxiety. It really isn't those things. It's just there's a part of his brain that just blocks him from doing something that he not only wants to, he needs to do it. He's in pain. He hasn't even been to the doctor to get painkillers. So he's in constant pain because he can't force himself to get himself to the doctor. And the other one was another friend of mine who went something like 6 or 7 years without an eye test and a new prescription for his glasses. So he was using the same old glasses for years and years and years. And his eyesight is obviously progressively gets worse and worse. This is why we have regular eye tests. And his eyes were like red and he couldn't see properly. And he was always tired because obviously one of the reasons why I wear glasses is when I'm trying to read or trying to watch something, one of my eyes isn't as strong as the other. So the glasses help balance that out. So I'm a lot less tired when I'm driving or when I'm concentrating on something. I'm a lot less tired and my eyes don't sting when I'm wearing my glasses. And, he was in a lot of pain, with, his eyes and stuff. And I was like, just go and get an eye test. It's like 20 quid. Just go and get an eye test. And he would do all the research.
Seems easy, doesn't it? Right?
Came to it. Yeah, it sounds so simple.
So easy in layman's terms. Just get up and go.
Neurotypicals will literally just go, I don't get it. Just go. But I got it. I understand. It's heartbreaking to watch because I know he wants to. I know he wants to do it. He was doing all the online research. He was looking at everything. He said, yeah, I'm going to do this. I said, well, just book an appointment. He was like, I'll
do it later. I'll do it
I'll do it later.
I'll do it tomorrow.
It just never. And I'm pleased to say, that recently he has actually gone and got it done.
That's great.
And he's much, much better off for it. And I'm super happy about that. But it massively impacts our lives. And yet the NHS do not officially diagnose it. Which is so crap.
This doesn't make sense to me because you can see it. You can see that it affects people in huge ways. Like there are so many stereotypes of autistic people that are incorrect, and a lot of them, get picked up on. Why does this not get picked up on? Why is this not something that is common knowledge that we struggle with? It's like we've talked about in previous episodes, or even, talking personally. If I was to call into work and go, sorry, I can't come in today because I'm struggling with really bad demand avoidance, you can hear the eye roll on the phone.
Yeah, no one's going to take that seriously.
No, who the hell's going to take that seriously? If I say, oh, I'm feeling really unwell, I've been on the toilet all night, I've got it coming out of both ends, then normally people let you off. But crikey, the amount of people that tell me that they've had food poisoning and they can't work, what are people eating, man? I know that that's not why you're off work, but I can't say no. But yeah, if I'm to be like, oh, I've woken up this morning, I've got the black dog on my back, I'm feeling super anxious, I'm really struggling to eat because I've got demand avoidance, and I'm sat in my car waiting to turn the keys, but I can't. Get a grip, Si. Just that's the feeling that you get from people when you're asking for help, and yet how can you ask for help when people don't know you're drowning? They're not going to throw you a lifeline.
Believe you're drowning.
They don't believe you're drowning. Like, literally, do I have to be floating face down in the water for people to believe I need help? Like, this is the difficult thing with all of this.
Yeah, one of the things that really upsets me is that I've heard from so many parents and received so many messages about their kids and their kids not being taken seriously with their mental health. And, it seems that, I'm not saying all CAMS, I'm just saying from what I've heard, CAMS seems to be, bolt the door after the horses run organization. They're only there, if somebody does try and take their own life, then they'll get involved. It's like, well, maybe, just maybe, you get involved before that. I know. Do you know what, Si? I think I might have just had the best idea ever. Let's help the kids before they start cutting themselves. That might be a good idea. No, cams are like, nah, it's not serious enough. They just
they won't take them
attention-seeking.
seriously until they see the scars. That's the problem. It's too late.
Which is disgusting.
It's too late.
My heart goes out to the parents because so many of them will end up blaming themselves, and it's so many times it really isn't the parents' fault. It really isn't. But parents get blamed so much. Now, I'm not saying parents are blameless, but
no.
So many of the occasions where parents get blamed, it's not their fault. It's the school's faults. It's the parents of other kids who don't teach their kids to respect others, to respect differences. It's the faults of the medical industry for not taking us seriously, especially female NDs. They all of them. Yeah, well, it's just
she's having an episode. Must be that time.
They're,
all this crap. All that crap.
They're not autistic. They've just got borderline personality disorder. I'm like, there are so many people I know, including family members, that were diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. For it to be like, then, oh, by the way, that it's not that. They're actually just autistic.
Honestly, dude, the amount of people that message me and go, I've, got BPD, but I think I actually might be autistic. It's something that I do get approached around, especially like I've got family and friends that have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And it's like I've known people where they go, oh, they're just bipolar. I go, no, I'm not sure. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a medical professional, but I've known quite a few undiagnosed neurodivergent people that started telling me that they had BPD or were bipolar. And then it has changed.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear to the audience. Bipolar and borderline personality disorder, as far as I can tell, aren't part of the TAN, so they're not part of the alternative neurotype. They're again, these are just words. These are just diagnostic criteria. They're not physical manifestations of actual scientific fact. It's all opinion based. It's that psychology again, rearing its ugly head, trying to change people's lives so they can, advance their careers. And but it is neurodivergence. If you're talking about neurodivergence in general, it does change your brain. But as far as I'm concerned, those people who end up being like that, if you're going by my hypothesis, and let me make it clear, this is a hypothesis. It means it's a working theory. It is what I believe from the evidence that I have seen, which is a lot, by the way. But I'm not saying this is the way it is. I'm saying this is what I think, and this is my hypothesis. That people who end up being diagnosed with those things are in fact, TAN. They're in fact the alternative neurotype. And the stresses and strains that are put on us because of, this neurotype, it will result in them getting a diagnosis of, any number of things, especially for women, because these so-called professionals, they're only trained in their expert field and they barely have a working knowledge of anything else. So it's a lottery of what you end up getting diagnosed with.
Yeah, and I mean, I've spoken to a couple of people, and it's really difficult. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Like you, it's a hypothesis. Just working with what I see before me and building my own conclusion doesn't mean it's the truth or it's fact. It's just what I see. And there are so many times where I, as a diagnosed neurodivergent person, wish that I could give somebody a peer review and they take it, officially. And because I find a lot of the time I have people come up to me and I give them the advice that Dr. Luke Bearding gave us very early on in this podcast is, if you think you are neurodivergent, just imagine that you are and see how you feel. And a lot of people that have come back with diagnosis of bipolar or severe depression or BPD have come back to me and gone, I took your advice and it worked. And I've gone away and I do feel a lot happier, a lot more myself, because I'm not punishing myself. And, a lot of the time I really struggle with that. Like I said very early on, I'm not very good at taking my own advice. Sometimes I hear myself say things and I go, crikey, Si, I didn't know that you thought like that or think that. And I wish I could listen to it and really take it on board. But it is frightening because there are still times, even though I'm diagnosed and I've understood that I'm neurodivergent from a very, very young age, and, you know, now understanding the alternative neurotype as well, there are still times where people who are misdiagnosed or have been given a doctor's opinion that may not necessarily be correct die on that hill and still fight against you when you're trying to have a conversation about neurodivergence. It really does frustrate the hell out of me that you can't talk about it and people just take you seriously. It's like if I was to say to somebody, oh, I'm bipolar, they'd go, oh, okay, sorry to hear that. But if I say to somebody, oh, I'm autistic, it's like this whole debate just opens up and anyone can say or think or say what they want about it. And yet it's like we just can't seem to win the argument with it, I find. It's it's frustrating.
Yeah, which is why, you know, the fact that PDA isn't even getting recognised as a diagnosis, it makes it 100 times worse. Because, you know, it does negatively impact us quite a lot. You know, like I said before, there are benefits to it in the way that, you know, we will have that linear thinking and you know, we go against the grain, and even that when it's a good thing for science, or it's a good thing for us because, you know, we get to make our own decisions, and we choose our own futures, and we have more control because, you know, being in control as a neurodivergent person for me is incredibly important because of my anxiety. I need to have more control over my world. It doesn't mean I want to control others, but I certainly have to control, you know, what is around me in order for me to have a good day. You know, but when something's not even recognized as like, oh, by the way, you know, you're just making that up. That's how it feels. So the medical industry is almost just saying, you know, screw you. We know better than you. And it's like, well, you don't. Evidently, you don't. I like, there are pages and pages and pages of information out there. There are books, there are social media, YouTubers, Facebook pages, Instagram pages. There are so many people out there talking about PDA, and a lot of them are far more in-depthly versed than I am. You know, I know a lot about it, but you know, some people are specialists in it, and they're not medical people. They're specialists because they live it. They're specialists because they care about it. They have passion about it. And still, like, people, there are medical people out there. There are psychologists out there just go, nah, it's not real. And that's just so crap, because people, you've got a workplace. What are they going to jump on the bandwagon for? They're going to go, oh, well, it's not real, therefore we don't have to do something. Or they're going to believe the person who's suffering from PDA and go, oh, no, it actually is a real thing because you have described it and we believe you. And therefore we actually have to spend money, or we have to change policies, or we have to support you. Most workplaces, most schools, they don't want to do that because that takes effort, that takes time.
We'll just hire somebody else. It's easy.
Yeah, but it's so much easier because they just go, well, the NHS don't recognise it, so why should we? It's not a real thing. Yeah, we don't have to do anything about your PDA. And I'm like, oh, great. So not only have I got to suffer through my PDA on a daily basis, but you're not even going to try and help me.
And this fuels the PDA even more. Like, my brain literally says to me, why would you fight for you when no one else is? And it's like, oh
yeah, it crushes.
It's like, what's the point? And it doesn't go from, oh, what's the point of trying that? It then dissolves and devolves to, what's the point of getting out of bed? And then you're in trouble. That's when the mental health aspect of this is dangerous and is life-threatening and destroying. And yet people don't take it seriously until it's beyond the point of help, which is the bit that's so frustrating. Because I look back on my periods of life when I've had severe demand avoidance, and the amount of times I've been called lazy dude, and it's like, just like putting a knife through your ribs. It just makes it so much worse. And
I can guarantee you, everyone out there, this man is not lazy.
No, I'm a workaholic. I'm literally, I can't stop.
You will work until I have to tell you to take a break. I mean, to be fair, anyone that can put up with me as a friend is that's a full-time job in itself. I'm a lot of work.
You're not the only one, dude. Everyone that knows me and loves me goes, "You work too hard," and I constantly say to myself, "I don't work hard enough. I don't work hard enough. I can always work harder. I can always do more," and that's the problem.
I do wonder about PDA. You know, obviously, you know, we can look into it more, and you know, I highly suggest that everybody does who's listening to this that they go and do their own research on it and find out how, you know, it might affect them personally. But my working knowledge of it normally just comes as it does for most things I know about neurodivergence is from experience, from self-reflection and understanding me and the people around me, not on a broader scale really. But yeah, it is frustrating that people will literally just not understand it or just refuse to understand something without going and doing their own research. You know, they'll just go, "Oh no, you know, I don't understand that, therefore, you know, I can't really relate to it." Which, like you said, it makes it even more difficult because people will often see us as being lazy, and that's just not the case. Like if I'm being lazy, I'm quite happy to admit it, but demand avoidance is not laziness.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject to get your head around because again, with a lot of my neurodivergent experience, I can explain it, but I can't tell you what it is. It's hard.
So give me two examples. One of how demand avoidance has actually helped you, and one example of how, like, one of the worst examples of how it has like negatively impacted your life.
Okay. If I'm in a job that I hate, I will find it very, very difficult, one, to leave, two, to find another job and commit to it. So if I'm stuck in something, I find it very difficult to pull myself out of that situation because of demand avoidance. It's like I go, I need to do X, Y, and Z to help me move out of this situation. But then as soon as I figure out what I need to do, the battle is then convincing myself to do those things. So that can be the really difficult negative thing about it, like whether it's being stuck in a relationship like we've talked about before, or in a friendship, or in a bad work environment. It's like, you know, there are certain jobs that I've had that I've stayed 2 years too long because I find it really difficult to break away and get up and leave. But
yeah, I understand that completely.
But then one of the positives of that is the demand avoidance has helped me not run flying into situations where are going to have negative impacts on me. For example, there have been maybe 4 or 5 different podcast ideas I had before this. And I'm really glad that my demand avoidance stopped me from committing to those because truly, deeply, I didn't want to do them. I wanted to do this. And that's one of the beautiful things about my demand avoidance, out of some of the many negative things that it does, is it does help me put a pause on being super impulsive and committing to things that I don't really want to commit to. It's like I've been a people pleaser all my life, but my demand avoidance does help me kind of stop that because I go, I don't really want to do that. And as I've gotten older with maturity, I don't do it. But that's where it helps me in a positive way. It stops me sometimes flying into things and committing to things that I don't really want to do.
Oh, that's really, really helpful, man. That's really interesting. I would say, you know, if we're going to start with the negatives, the thing how it's most affected me is definitely my parenting. You know, being the best dad I can be. So often, you know, my kids needed me for something, you know, nothing serious. It's not like, you know, oh, my son's leg is broken. I demand avoidance.
Like dragging you away from something, or, you know, if you're
just
committed.
But, you know, like my daughter needs, you know, help with me reading to her or her reading to me or something like that. And it just, no matter what I felt, no matter how much I wanted to do it, there's just this part of me that's like, no, I can't do that. I just can't do that. And it's also made me seemingly selfish in a lot of situations where people will say that he's got a huge ego. He's so full of himself. All he ever wants to do is talk about himself, and it really isn't that. I have a real issue with listening to people talk about their lives. If their lives aren't interesting to me, there's this part of my brain that just goes, I can't listen to you. Like I'll start feeling ill, like physically sick, having to listen to somebody talk about, their life.
You want to walk away, don't you? It's the fight or flight. You just want to leave.
Yes. And it's
hard.
awful because I genuinely empathize with that person. And that's the other thing, is it can come across as a lack of empathy of me caring about others, because I just have this huge hurdle that I have to get over in order just to listen to other people. This is why I'm so glad that you and I have found each other, because that hurdle doesn't exist when I'm listening to you. I want to hear about your day. I want to hear about your life. I want to hear about the things that happen to you. I care about what is happening in your life. The great part of being demand avoidant is the rules of photography. So, if you don't know, I am completely self-taught. In 2018, I taught myself how to take pictures. I am now of professional quality. I'm a semi-professional photographer, and I sell my work all over the world. If you're watching this on YouTube channel, watch it. You can see the picture behind me, and it does not follow the rules of photography. There are rules in photography about the rule of thirds, that to give a picture symmetry and things like that. I don't care about those rules. I don't want to follow those rules. This is why when I originally started doing photography, I said it's not photography, it's autistic photography, because it's my style. It's my photography. It's not your photography. And that demand avoidance has meant that I have created my own style of photography. It has meant that I was able to express myself through my photography without worrying about what other people think of it. It's why I don't enter competitions. I don't care what other people think about my pictures. I know that sounds crazy. I genuinely don't. I hope people like them. I'm happy when people like them, but I'm actually happy that they like them because it makes them happy. So I'm happy that they're happy. I don't care that they liked the picture. That doesn't brighten my day that my photography is popular. What brightens my day is that people enjoy it and get the same feelings that I do from it, which is that, mindfulness, which is that, feeling of calm, and it almost like, it's not almost, it is a visual stim. That's what my photography is. It's my own visual stim.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, because I get that from your photos. I look at your photos and it takes me to the place. It's that escapism.
Oh, yeah. See, and that means a lot to me, not because I judge my self-worth or my skill on what you said. It means a lot to me because that means you're happy. And if you're happy, I'm happy when other people are happy, but when you're happy, I'm super happy because I flipping love you, bro. And if by looking at my pictures, that makes you happy, that makes my day.
Well, this is the thing. One of my greatest pleasures in my life is my playlists, right? I put music to photographs all of the time. And I have a lot of your photographs on my playlists because they match up.
So cute.
But what I find is I create soundtracks without an image, and you and your photography is helping me fill the image. So that's what it is. So it's a bit of a collaborative thing, even though no one really looks at it, but it makes me happy.
And that is awesome. And that is how demand avoidance, for me, can be good, because it means that I don't always do things like other people. And that means that I can put my own style to things, which means I can enjoy them on a personal basis, and know that it was me that created that and not somebody else that created it for me. And that is a hugely important thing, because I felt like if people teach me something, that means that any achievement that I've got by doing that means that's their achievement in my own head.
I feel like that as well.
Yeah. So if someone says, "Oh, do it that way," and then I do it that way, they're the ones that are going to get the credit. So I don't feel like I've achieved anything because I just copied someone else. But for me, if I do something and I figure out how to do it myself, there's a much, much bigger achievement. It doesn't always end up like that, but I do feel better about myself as somebody who is able to do something if I did it myself in my own way, in my own time. It might be harder, it might take longer, but at least it's my way of doing it. And that's how it can be good, and then, also bad.
How have we done it? How have we got a negative thing and managed to turn it into a nice positive right at the end? We've managed to do it. Well done. Right, okay, guys.
I'm always looking for the positive, man.
But this
That's
is
what
the
I've
thing.
always done.
This is the thing, is you're talking about your photographs. This is how I feel about this podcast. Yeah, we have thousands of people listening to this. We've had over 20,000 downloads, which is
nearly 22,000.
wild, dude. We've sold out a football stadium. Like, that's, you and me stood on the halfway line having a conversation. Effectively, we've had a football stadium of downloads. But yeah,
and we love every one of you.
And we do. But I'll tell you what, I love it even more when people send us messages and go, I loved that episode. I really related to something that you said there. That's really helped me. That, I can't tell you how positive that feeling is for both of us. But anyway, quote of the week.
If grizzly bears aren't meant to be cuddled, then why are they so cuddly?
Fantastic quote. I said this literally the other day. If not friend, why friend-shaped?
Yeah, why friend-shaped?
Why friend-shaped?
But that's a question, not a quote. So I couldn't say that.
There you go. Yeah. Being very, very literal there. Love that. So, guys, it's that time. It's the end of the episode. Thank you again for once again tuning in with us on a Thursday or whatever day you listen to this podcast. On Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Thank you for tuning in. It's it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but that is the neurodivergent experience. So till next time, guys, see you later. Bye bye.
We'll see you at Autistic Minds. Bye bye.